Every year, hundreds of IGNOU learners finish their theory courses in Environmental and Occupational Health and then freeze at one line in the course list: Project. This is the complete guide to the IGNOU MAENOH Project, course code MEVP001. By the end, you will know exactly what this project is, who can guide it, which 2 research methods the university actually prescribes, how the proposal is approved, how the report is structured, and how the 100 marks are split. Let us fix the identity of the program first, because a lot of confusion starts right here. MAENOH is the program code for the Master of Arts in Environmental and Occupational Health. It is offered by the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies in open and distance learning mode. You will also see the older short form MAEOH used on many pages and even on some official documents, so do not panic if both appear. They refer to the same program. The program accepts graduation in any discipline. The medium of instruction is English. The minimum duration is 24 months and the maximum duration is 48 months. As per the official program page, the fee is 7,700 rupees per year. And this program is not offered to international students. Exam fees are separate. The full program carries 74 credits across 18 courses. The first year covers the core of the field: Introduction to Environmental Health, Environmental and Occupational Hazards, Environment Law and Management, Environmental Toxicology, Occupational Health and Safety, Environmental Impact Assessment for Environmental Health, Healthcare, Agriculture and Allied Sector, and Industrial Sector. The second year moves outward: Disability Studies and Occupational Health, Disaster Management, Disaster Medicine, Sustainable Natural Resource Management, Safety Philosophy and Principles of Accident Prevention, Global Climate Change, Globalization, Environment and Development, Introduction to Geoinformatics, and gender-related courses on work and livelihoods. There is also an exit route. A learner who completes the first year can exit with a postgraduate diploma in Environmental and Occupational Health instead of continuing to the master's degree. Now, the official program page states the exit credit requirement in 2 different places with 2 different numbers, so treat the exact credit figure as something to confirm with your regional center before you plan an exit. That is an honest gap, and you deserve to know about it rather than be given a confident wrong number. Hold that exit route in your mind because it explains the single most misunderstood fact about MEVP 001. Here is the fact that most websites get wrong. MEVP 001 is a 4-credit project, and in the official IGNOU course structure, it sits in year 1 of MAENOH. It is not a second year, 8-credit final year dissertation. Why does a master's project sit in the first year? Because of that exit route. The official handbook for this project is titled Handbook on Project Work for MA in Environmental and Occupational Health and Postgraduate Diploma in Environmental and Occupational Health. 1 handbook, 2 programs. The diploma learner finishes in 1 year. So the project has to be completed inside that first year for both groups. That single design decision changes how you should approach the whole thing. A 4-credit project is roughly 120 hours of learner study time. It is a focused, well-executed small study, not a doctoral thesis. Students who try to write a 200-page epic here usually miss deadlines and lose marks on clarity, not on ambition. Now the second big confusion, and this one causes real rejections. The course codes look almost identical, and they are completely different projects. MEVP 001 is your project, the 4-credit project in MAENOH, and the Environmental and Occupational Health Diploma. MEVP 01. 1 is a different project altogether, the 8-credit project of the MSc in Environmental Science. MEVP 012 is another one, the project of the MA in Environmental Studies. And then there is a fourth trap that catches people inside your own program. MEVE 011 is not a project at all. It is Global Climate Change, a 4-credit theory course in the second year of MAENOH, one letter apart from a project code, and a completely different animal. Why does this matter so much? Because each of those projects has its own handbook, its own pro forma, its own credit weight, and its own submission route. If you download the wrong handbook and fill the wrong approval pro forma, your proposal is not just delayed, it is not entertained. So before you download anything, read the code on the cover page and confirm it says MEVP 001. Now the marks. The project carries 100 marks in total. 70% of that is for the project report, and 30% is for the Viva Voce. To pass, you need a minimum of 40% in the project work. Notice what that split is telling you. 30 marks are decided in a conversation, not on paper, which means the fastest way to lose marks in this course is to submit work you cannot explain out loud. Let us talk about your project supervisor, because in this program, the supervisor decision comes before the topic decision, not after. MEVP 001 must be carried out under a qualified supervisor, and the university sets who qualifies. Based on the official program documentation, an eligible supervisor is a faculty member at IGNOU headquarters, a regional center or a study center, or a teacher, faculty member, or researcher who holds a PhD with about 2 years of experience, or a master's degree in a relevant discipline with about 5 years of experience, or a medical qualification in a relevant area. Confirm the exact wording in your current handbook, since eligibility clauses do get revised. In plain terms, your supervisor should be someone who genuinely works in this space, an environmental science or public health faculty member, an occupational health physician, a safety officer with academic standing, an industrial hygienist, or a researcher at a recognized institute. A qualified person from an unrelated field is a weak choice even if the paperwork technically passes, because they cannot defend your methodology when the evaluator asks. Now the rule that quietly rejects more proposals than any other. Your supervisor's signature on the proforma is not enough. You must also enclose the complete signed biodata of your supervisor. The handbook is unusually blunt about this. It states that even if the proposed supervisor is already an academic counselor of the MAEOH or the diploma program, if the signed biodata is not enclosed, the proposal will not be entertained. Read that again. Not delayed, not returned for correction, not entertained. So the biodata is not a formality you attach if you remember. It is a gating document. Make the biodata complete. Name, designation, full official address with phone number and email, highest qualification with subject, years of teaching or research or field experience, current institution, and the supervisor's signature with a date. If your supervisor sends you a 2-line note on letterhead, that is not a biodata. Ask politely for the full version. One more thing you should know, and very few students are told this. You are not supposed to pay your supervisor. The university pays the guidance remuneration for project supervision, and the handbook even carries a remuneration bill pro forma for that purpose. So if anyone tells you that a guide's fee is a normal part of the process, that is not the university's position. Finally, agree on working terms early, how often you will meet or call, how quickly they will return drafts, and whether they are comfortable with the method you plan to use. A supervisor who signs and disappears will cost you the Viva. Now the topic. The official handbook includes an annexure of sample topics for a project proposal. That annexure is there to show you the level and the shape of an acceptable study. It is not a menu you pick from and submit as is. 2 students submitting an identical annexure topic is exactly how identical proposals get flagged. A good MEVP 001 topic sits at the intersection of 3 things: an environmental or occupational health issue that is real in your area, a group of people you can actually reach for data, and a scope small enough to finish inside a 4-credit project. Let me give you the fields this program naturally opens up: occupational health and safety in a specific industry, industrial hygiene and exposure assessment, air, water, or noise quality and its health effects, environmental toxicology in a local setting, biomedical and hospital waste handling, agricultural and pesticide exposure, construction and mining safety, healthcare worker safety, disaster preparedness in a workplace, and environmental impact assessment linked to community health. Here is the worked example I will carry through the rest of this video so you can see one study built end-to-end. The title is A Study of Respiratory Health Risks Among Stone Crusher Unit Workers in a Semi-Urban Industrial Cluster. Look at why this works. The hazard is specific: respirable dust. The population is specific and reachable: workers in stone crusher units in one cluster. The health outcome is specific: respiratory symptoms and reported illness. And the scope is honest: one cluster, not the whole state. Compare that with a title like Impact of Air Pollution on Public Health in India. It sounds impressive, and it is unresearchable in a 4-credit project. There is no defined population, no defined exposure, and no data you can personally collect. Evaluators see that title constantly, and it signals a student who has not narrowed anything yet. So use this test on your own title. Can you name the exact group you will study? Can you name the exact exposure or practice you will measure? Can you name the health outcome you will look at? And can you get consent and access within a few weeks? If any answer is no, the topic is not ready. 2 more practical filters. First, choose a site you have some genuine access to through your job, your city, or a contact who can introduce you. Access failure is the #1 reason projects stall. Second, check that some published literature exists on your issue, because your review chapter needs sources. A topic so unusual that nothing has been written on it is a hard first project. Now, the part that makes this project genuinely different from other IGNOU projects, the official MEVP 001 handbook, does not tell you to go and use any research design you like. It teaches 2 specific methods: the case study method and the survey method. The stated learning objectives of the handbook are that you should be able to define and discuss the concepts of case study and survey methods, and then identify a topic, formulate a proposal, prepare tools, collect data, and analyze it. So your first methodological decision is simple: case study or survey. Pick one deliberately, name it in your proposal, and design everything else around it. The case study method goes deep on one unit: one factory, one hospital, one village, one construction site, one occupational group. You study that unit in detail using observation, interviews, records, and documents. The strength is depth and context. You can describe why something happens, not just how often. The limitation is that you cannot generalize the finding to the whole population. The survey method goes wide across many respondents. You build a structured questionnaire or interview schedule, sample a defined group, and collect comparable answers from everyone. The strength is that you can count, compare, and show patterns. The limitation is that you get breadth without much depth, and your findings are only as good as your tool and your sample. For our stone crusher study, the survey method fits better. We want to know how many workers report respiratory symptoms, how long they have been exposed, and whether protective equipment is used across a reasonable number of workers. A case study of a single crusher unit would give richer texture, but weaker patterns. Now build the tool properly, because this is where marks are quietly won. A workable questionnaire here would have 4 blocks: Background details, that is, age, years in the job, and role. Exposure details, that is, hours per shift, dust control measures at the site, and use of protective equipment. Health details, that is, respiratory symptoms in a defined recall period, medical consultation, and days of work lost. And awareness details, that is, training received and knowledge of workplace risk. Keep the sample honest. For a 4-credit project, a clearly described sample of a modest size that you actually reached is worth far more than a claimed sample of 500 that you cannot defend. State how you selected them and admit the limitation. And take ethics seriously, because this is health data about workers. Get permission from the site management. Take informed consent from each respondent. Keep identities anonymous. Never present a worker's health information in a way that could identify them. Write these steps into your report. Evaluators notice when they are missing. Now, the project proposal, which most students call the MENOH Synopsis. This is the document that gets approved before you are allowed to do the study. Not after. Sequence matters. Finalize the supervisor, finalize the topic with them, write the proposal, submit it for approval, wait for approval, and only then collect data. Students who collect data first and get the topic rejected later lose an entire session. Your proposal packet has 3 parts that travel together. The proforma for approval of the project proposal, which is an annexure in the official handbook, filled and signed by both you and your supervisor. The proposal or synopsis itself, and the complete signed biodata of your supervisor. Incomplete packets are rejected outright, so check all 3 before you send anything. What goes inside the proposal? Write it in future tense because it is a plan of what you will do. Start with the title, exactly as you intend it to appear on the report. Then the introduction and background, where you establish the environmental or occupational health issue and why it matters. Then a short review of literature, showing what is already known and where the gap is. Then the rationale. 1 honest paragraph on why this study is worth doing here and now. Then the heart of it, the objectives. Keep them to 3 or 4. Each one a single measurable statement beginning with a verb. For our example, to assess the prevalence of self-reported respiratory symptoms among stone crusher unit workers, to examine the relationship between duration of exposure and reported symptoms, to study the availability and use of personal protective equipment at the units, and to suggest practical measures to reduce respiratory risk. Then the research methodology, which must name your chosen method. State the method, the study area, the population, the sample and how you will select it, the tool you will use, how you will collect the data, and how you will analyze it. Then the expected outcome or contribution of the study, then limitations stated honestly, then a rough time plan, and finally references in a consistent style, APA being the safest default. On length, be careful with the numbers floating around online. Different IGNOU programs prescribe very different proposal lengths, and figures quoted for one program get copied onto pages about another. Follow the length stated in your own MEVP 001 handbook. And if it is not stated, keep the proposal tight and complete rather than padded. Retain a photocopy of the full submitted packet. If approval correspondence goes missing, that copy is your only proof. Approval received. Data collected. Now you write the report. The official handbook has a dedicated section on the project report and a separate section on how it is evaluated. So the structure is not something you invent. The standard shape of an IGNOU project report in this field runs like this. The preliminary pages come first. The title page carrying the project title, your name, enrollment number, program, the course code MEVP 001, and your supervisor's name. Then the certificate of originality, which is an annexure in the handbook, declaring that this report has not been submitted earlier to this university or to any other university or institution. Then the supervisor's certificate confirming that they guided the work. Then acknowledgements, the table of contents and lists of tables and figures. Take the certificate of originality seriously. A recycled or purchased report that has been submitted before does not just fail. It is an academic integrity matter. Then the chapters. Chapter 1. Introduction, where you set out the issue, the context, and your objectives. Chapter 2. Review of literature, where you organize what previous studies have found and identify the gap. Chapter 3. Research methodology, where you describe your chosen method, study area, population, sample, tool, data collection and analysis, and your ethical steps. Chapter 4. Results and analysis. This is where most of your 70 report marks live. Present your findings in clear tables and simple charts, and then interpret them in words. A table without interpretation is not analysis. For our study, this chapter would show symptom prevalence, exposure duration patterns, protective equipment use, and the relationships between them. Chapter 5. Discussion, conclusion, and recommendations. Answer each objective explicitly, in order. Compare your findings with the literature. State your limitations. And give recommendations that are specific and implementable at that site, not vague slogans about awareness. Then the end matter, references in one consistent style, and appendices containing your questionnaire or interview schedule, permission letters, consent format, and any raw data tables. A missing questionnaire in the appendix is a very common and very avoidable deduction. On formatting, follow the standard IGNOU project presentation. A4 paper, a clean serif or standard font in 12-point, 1.5 or double line spacing as prescribed. Adequate margins with extra space on the binding side. Page numbers throughout, and a properly bound volume. Preliminary pages usually take Roman numerals, and the main chapters take Arabic numbers. Confirm the exact page count, spacing, and binding requirement against your own handbook and your regional center, because these details vary. We have a full video on IGNOU project format if you want that in depth. Now submission and evaluation. Submission routes differ across IGNOU programs, and they have changed in recent years. So here I will tell you the rule rather than a guess. Follow the submission address printed in your own MEVP 001 handbook and any current notice on the IGNOU website. Across environmental programs, the report typically goes as one bound original copy, sometimes with a soft copy, either to the regional director of your regional center or to the registrar, Student Evaluation Division at Maidan Garhi, New Delhi, 110068. Several programs now also accept online project submission. Write the course code prominently on the envelope, keep a photocopy, and confirm your route before you post anything. 2 practical rules that hold everywhere. A photocopy of the report is not accepted as the submitted copy. Send the original bound volume. And the submitted report is not returned to you after evaluation, so keep your own copy for the Viva. Then the Viva Voce. 30 of your 100 marks are decided here in front of an evaluator. You will be intimated of the date, and you should carry your own copy of the report. Prepare for 5 questions and you will handle most Vivas. Why did you choose this topic? Why did you choose the survey method rather than a case study or the reverse? How did you select your sample and what are its limitations? What is your single most important finding? And what would you recommend to that workplace tomorrow morning? If you did the work yourself, these answers already exist in your head. To pass, you need at least 40%. If you are declared unsuccessful, the general practice across these programs is that you redo the cycle from a fresh proposal, usually with a new topic. That is a whole session lost, which is exactly why the approval stage deserves your patience. Is this project worth the effort, honestly? Yes. And for a practical reason, environmental and occupational health is one of the few areas where a distance learning student can produce something an employer immediately understands. A workplace exposure study with real data reads like professional work, not coursework. Where does it lead? Learners from this field commonly work around environmental health and safety functions in industry, occupational safety roles, environmental consulting, public health and community health programs, hospital and biomedical waste management, and compliance and audit support. The degree opens doors. Your project is what you talk about once you are inside the room. Is an IGNOU degree valid for jobs? IGNOU is a central university and its degrees are recognized, including by the Association of Indian Universities. The distance mode is not the thing that will hold you back. Weak, borrowed project work is. Let me close with the 5 points that decide this project. MEVP 001 is 4 credits and sits in year 1. 100 marks, 70 for the report and 30 for the Viva, minimum 40% to pass. The supervisor's signed bio data is mandatory or the proposal is not entertained. The handbook prescribes case study and survey methods, so choose one openly. And approval always comes before data collection. For full guides, formats and samples, visit ignouproject.com. For project or synopsis help, message us on WhatsApp at +91 935 4637 830. Always verify current dates, fees, and submission addresses on the IGNOU website. Subscribe to Shri Chakradhar Education for the rest of this series. This is BK Sani, guiding IGNOU students since 2010. All the best with your project.